As long as I don't have to move stuff. I was thinking about moving, and thought, we built a house about 34 years ago, and I hope to never be first. But I'm thinking about helping others, which I like, because I know it's a stressful time, a lot going on. And my only advice on doing is jettison all the stuff you don't need. Your kids don't want, your grandkids don't want. So, I got 12 cameras. I don't need 12. I don't need that. Yeah. But there's a lot to move it. And you think of all the times you've moved. How hard it can be. Talk about the second moving company. You have a lot of options. So, appreciate what you bring to it.
Yeah.
Curious to see how all this goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll let Jake kind of tell the story a little bit. Keep this very informal. Raise your hand. And Tiffany and Aaron might be popping it as well.
Cool. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
You nailed it right on the head. Yeah, 5 nickels for every time I heard, God, we should have got rid of more stuff before we moved. It's so true. But yeah, so my name is Jake Sobieck. I'm originally from Warren, Minnesota. I moved up in Bemidji in 2009 for BSU. Right away, knew after my first year, I never wanted to leave. I love the community. I love the area. I love the people. So, I mean, just jumping into it right away, because it's quite a timeline of events to get to how Blue Ox started, but I'll kind of bypass all that and get to Blue Ox. I was actually living overseas in Germany, and I moved back to Bemidji and landed a job at a local lumberyard in Bemidji. And I wasn't really happy with the job and what it entailed. That there wasn't much room for growth. Selling lumber really wasn't my forte, I guess. And so I remember sitting at work, just being unhappy, and always having this kind of like inner voice of like, I'm motivated, I'm ambitious, like start your own thing. And I just didn't know what that thing was. So I entertained a few ideas working at that job, and I actually still have a business proposal written up for an entirely different business. But that's when I knew I was ready to make the leap and do something. Well, while I worked at that job long enough, I'd say enough money to buy a house. And the family who was moving, I had known through a mutual family friend, they had a hard time finding a mover in town. And, to my disbelief, I was like, what the heck? I hadn't looked into it much. Well, sure enough, there was one other moving company in town at the time. It was 2018. So they are an elderly couple. They needed help moving. So I just offered a helping hand. I wanted to help them, but I also wanted to get into my house. And so I helped them move. And along that process, I don't know how many times I said, you're pretty good at this. You should just start your own company. Of course, as I'm listed there, safe and all sorts of heavy stuff, And then that, I guess that kind of planted the seed. I was like, what really would it entail to start a movie? So I went home. I remember going home that night and I jumped on what I like to call YouTube University. And I was just a sponge with the information I had on YouTube. Business owners of moving companies, entrepreneurs, people who aren't owners, but just offer tips and tricks of how to move unique items, gun safes, pianos, work on equipment, whatever. So I just had a notebook and I was just writing all this stuff down. And then it really started to become a reality. Kind of backstory. In 2017, I was the director of annual giving for athletics, also known as Week of Pride at Bemidji State. And so I got to know a ton of coaches, business professionals in the area, community members. And so I felt I had contacts in the community. So when it came to employees, I thought I could talk to the BSU coaches about getting student athletes. I mean, they're recurring every year, getting new kids, new students, and our peak months are going to be summer months, so they're going to be needing a job. So I just thought, wow, all these little stars are starting to line up. This could really happen. So I kind of shoved my other business proposal to the wayside, and thank goodness for the Northwest Minnesota Foundation. This, I don't think would have ever happened if it wasn't for them. I went and talked to an awesome guy there named Sean Brand. He went over my business plan. We talked about how much money I need to kind of get up and get going. And my last step was kind of getting my family on board. Just buying a house and then telling my family I'm going to quit my job and start a business. I got some mixed reviews, and in hindsight, I totally see where they're coming from. But when you're so motivated, so ambitious, it's almost like tunnel vision. I was like, I can do this, And so I did. I started my job. I'm still bartending. I've always bartended at Lazy Jack's Bar and Grill. It's been like 10 plus years now. And that's kind of how Blue Ox really kind of came to be. But with a little bit of seed money I got from the foundation, I took $1,000 and I think I got like 1,500 or 2,000 bar coasters. That was my first kind of like spin-off of advertising. So as you see something like this, it was plaid checker, red and white checker, had my Blue Ox logo on it with my name and my phone number. And it's, Blue Ox will go. And that was kind of my first bout of marketing for myself. And wow, that worked phenomenally. So then the next endeavor was I hadn't bought a truck or trailer yet. I wanted to make sure that this is something that I really wanted to do, trying to learn tricks of the trades to see what kind of truck I needed, because that's really your biggest investment when you're moving. It's the oversized like machines you need, the box trucks, the trailers. So what I just did on my first dozen or so moves is I just rented a U-Haul. I rented moving blankets, and I was essentially a one-man show until it came to the bigger items. And then I'd call a couple of buddies who were still in town from college. Hey, want to help me move a couch really quick or a piano really quick? And I didn't learn so much. It was. I look back now and I just kind of scratch my head. One of the biggest things that I've always been trying to true on, and really what's kind of separated Blue Ox from a lot of other moving companies, is honesty. When you make a hiccup or when something goes awry, you just got to go tell the homeowner right away. And I bring that to all my employees too. I say, hey, if you don't feel comfortable having those kind of conversations, at least tell our crew leader or tell me if I'm on the job site, because we can tell the homeowner what had happened. One of the first moves, quick side story, I was moving this wonderful family. They lived just east of town, and it was my first piano move ever. They had a beautiful upright Yamaha piano going down a split level, and it was myself and my best friend, who's now our general manager at Blue Ox Moving. But he was just a friend at the time, had nothing to do with moving a piano down a flight of 7 stairs. And I'm at the top, of course. He's at the bottom, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to start tipping it your way, because underneath the pianos they have these things called belly boards that kind of ride on the stairs and easily go down. Well, I don't know if this one they took it out or whatnot, because once I made it over the tip, it came running down at him, and he just kind of slowly shoved his shoulder into the wall and put a hole in the shock. And I was just more concerned with him being okay, And of course, walking through with the homeowner, she had a great laugh. She raised 3 sons in that house. She said, I have so many fist holes and elbow holes in the sheetrock. I didn't have a guy coming over anyway. And anyway, I took money out for bill, and it was just one of those aha moments where it's like, all right, we need to really research how to be more efficient moving pianos. And now I bet we move 4 to 6 pianos a week. We move pianos all the time. And we've gotten a lot better at it. A lot better. Sorry, that was a little side note there, but it's just a fun story, just kind of wrapping up how we started. I'm just trying to think. In terms of Blue Ox now,
Before you get off pianos,
Yeah.
you've seen the big one out at the high school?
I don't think I have.
It's not as big as this table, but it's really big.
Brand.
What would you say to be with that?
That one, I have to look into it. We'll put it that way. And our big thing, just a great example. Our big thing is we're not here to fool anybody. We're a small local startup. We've only been for 2 years, although my body feels like I've been in for 10. We shoot people straight. I did move my first ever concert series, $52,000 baby, or a full brand concert series piano. And I told the homeowner, I said, here's the deal. We've never moved a full brand. We moved half a dozen baby grands. I'll do my due diligence, I'll do my research. We're insured for all this, so if something does happen, God willing, it doesn't. But I just tell them, and they're like, hey, that's okay. Thanks for being honest with me. I'll be with you every step of the way. And of course, they're watching, and it's like, well, we moved it into it great. And I mean, it's an 1,800-pound full concert series grand piano, and we moved it, and it not a scratch on it. I mean, so a big thing with us is that we're just honest, and that's what really separates us with other companies. We're not gonna give you the rah-rah spiel. We're just gonna shoot you straight, and that's why I think it's been unique for like northern Minnesota. Our geographical location really appreciates that. We really value like honesty and integrity, and that's something that's really set us apart in the moving world. Is that everybody we seem to move, not everybody, everybody, but a lot of people seem to have that horror story of something got stolen, all the stuff got broken, whatever. And we really, really try to separate ourselves from not being that kind of company. And that alone has gotten us from staying busy to getting really busy just by word of mouth, just by us being honest in our approach and honest in our actions. Telling people, when we do our initial walkthrough, we walk through the entire house, multiple purposes, to see what we want to load onto the truck first. It's always boxes, but which boxes we want to grab first. And then looking at furniture and unique pieces that are going to need special attention. And then lastly, going through and like looking at dressers, tabletops, china hutches, and noticing if they are beat up, how bad they are. If there's a dresser that's already got a lot of nicks in it, we're not too worried about it because it's already damaged. But if there's a really nice piece of furniture and we notice before we even wrap it up like anything, a scratch in it, we're going to take a picture and we're going to call homeowner over and say, hey, just we're on the same page. This is already here. But if you do find anything else that you truly don't, that we might have missed or that, you think we did, please let us know because we want to make it right with you. And then I give them options. And the best thing is giving homeowners options in terms of like how to fix something. It's either cash, I'll hire somebody to come fix it, or you hire somebody to come fix it. And just letting the customer have options, I think, is a big sign of they feel like they're in control of going forward. And that's big, customer service is huge for us. Sorry, that was a lot longer than I rehearsed in terms of how to Blue Ox get started. I do have to get the gas, but yeah, that's kind of how Blue Ox really kind of came to be, and that's kind of just a little overview on how we operate as a company. And really, it's kind of gotten us to be, I guess, successful. We've only been in business for 2 years, but we've grown exponentially in the last 2 years, and we're continuing to grow. I'm turning away work still, so.
What sort of volume are you seeing now? What's an average?
So right now, we're still putting out between, I just say bag right now, 6 to 10 full house moves a week. And we're still doing one-off jobs. So somebody buys furniture at St. Michael Furniture, let's say, and St. Michael can't get to it. No, Ethan will get a call and say, hey, can you run a couch to such and such address? We'll pay you, not a problem. So I'll send guys on that. And we do that all the time too. For specialties, safes, pianos, we mix those in between jobs. We'll do a full house move, and then we'll go to a random quick job, and then we'll do a full house pack because we're going to move the next day. So we're doing, but in the summer, our busiest month was June, and we did 62 jobs in June. And we were working Saturdays. We stopped working Saturdays after June because we were working every Saturday, and you can just tell the guys. I mean, we hired 14 part-time, well, I guess seasonal, if you will, but they were working full-time. 14 employees this summer, plus our original 4, we have 4 full-times, and then our 14 part-timers. We were running 3 to 4 crews every day, and they were doing 2 to 3 jobs every day. And that was our second year in business. So it's been busy. We lost all of we predominantly hired football, BSU student athletes. We lost them all, of course, first week of August because football started. And so we're down to kind of our original 4, and then we have 4 other part-timers too. And we're still, learning curve starting business. We booked out, not realizing we were going to lose these guys. So here we're just still scrambling through November right now because we have all these moves lined up. And we just got to get it done, But it's a good problem to have. I need to consistently remind myself because Emma can attest. I come home and it looks like I've just been 10 rounds of boxing. And I'm just like fatigued, I'm tired, long day. Yeah, same thing tomorrow. So, but it's good, it's a good problem to have. So,
I've got a story about a piano. I've got a couple of rental properties. I was looking at buying another house, which I didn't get. I was a little bit light on my bid, but there was a piano in the basement. Very nice looking upright, the wood grain and everything was just beautiful. And anyway, somebody else bought the house, and then it turned out, and probably part of my fault, I didn't follow up on it. The guy didn't want the piano, so the owner didn't know how to get the piano out. So we basically smashed it. Took a sledgehammer to it, smashed it.
Seen that before.
And when I talked to him and told me about it, I just about cried. But anyway, there's a fellow here in town, Don Patrick is his name. He's in the phone book and he does piano tuning. But he's got a harness that he built for moving pianos from the basement out.
Sure.
And everything. It takes a couple on the bottom and a couple on the top, and you can roll it out. But anyway, if you need anybody that needs to have a piano tune, Don Packer is a good fellow for that. And like I say, he's got a harness that he built for moving. You probably have something too.
So we have what's called a piano board. I make them at my house, but you can buy them pretty regularly. I'm a big line out these big companies. But essentially the same thing. I have harnesses and straps too to lift piano. So uprights we usually do like the harness because they're, I don't want to say light enough, but they're lighter. So you can do the harness. Whereas piano boards I always use for baby grands and full grands. It's a 2x10 with 1x1s on the bottom side with plastic kind of skids underneath, if you will. And then I do a 2x4 block on the end so it can't slide off. And then it's got ropes on the sides and then on both ends. So everybody can grab an end and lift. Or we always put moving blankets down, which are kind of a smooth material over the stairs. And so those rubber skids or those plastic skids, we can just kind of push it up the stairs and go.
Okay.
That's again, YouTube University. I went online and found out these piano boards after moving how many pianos, just my back. And I was like, oh, that's genius, So thank you for sharing that. I should get his contact info because I've had a handful of people ask me, because I always tell homeowners, after moving a piano, you're going to need to get a retune. If I move it 2 miles or 200 miles, I always suggest you get a retune because you're moving it, and that's what they always say. And then they always, I should say that was half a dozen times so people ask, well, do you know anybody? I'm like, don't right now. Sorry. So I should get his contact information.
My son is also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he's at college right now. So more the summer gig.
Well, still, and you want to talk more in the summer, so I'll have to get his number as well because that's great. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
He's a accordion boy.
Not too far. Well, if you're going to Fargo,
Right.
He's coming back in summer.
and does he move pianos as well?
I'm sure he would get into that.
I'll really have to get his number.
And you purchased your location, your current location?
Yeah, so another kind of fun story, I guess, learning here. So I went to BSU for like the better part of a decade, and you'd think I would have mixed in at least a couple of business classes. I really didn't. And so the whole kind of business world, it's just kind of funny looking back. I'm only 2 years into it now, but it's just funny kind of reminiscing on what you learn, So I was running the business out of my house, and that got to be a lot because I could never separate myself from my business. So I bought my truck and trailer right away with the Northwest Minnesota Foundation money. And that worked great. It's a 30-foot enclosed trailer. It's a big diesel truck, so I needed a personal truck, but it also doubles as a work truck, so I can pull my trailer. And now we have 5 big box truck rigs. But anyway, so I was parking 2 of those big box truck rigs and my truck and trailer in my driveway every night. And bless my neighbor's souls, nobody called me in or said this is getting to be too much. I just did it, and it was great. But then I realized, it's going to be too much. It's time for me to move out. And I looked at a ton of different buildings just to get away from work for a while, So finally, this place just popped up right down here, just north of the Eagles. Bill Mo used to own it. It was Bill's Used Furniture and Appliances. He's been there since like the mid-'80s. Awesome guy. We actually signed a contract for deed for 2 years. Because I've only been in business at the time, 1.5 years, it was really difficult for me to get a loan from the bank because they wanted at least 3 years of bookwork. And so I told Bill that he was ready to kind of retire anyways. The catch was, I said, Bill, I'll also empty this entire warehouse for you. It's a 5,000 square foot warehouse. And it was full of appliances. I mean, oh my gosh, I didn't know what I offered until I started having to do the work. We took, at the time, we only had 2 of our box trucks that are both 26-foot box trucks. We took 16 loads to the scrap dump full of washers and dryers. We took over 300 washers and dryers out of there. Not to mention all the motors he had pulled out there, just in shopping carts. I mean, oh my gosh. So that was like a unexpected 2-week endeavor for us to just kind of get the place ready, you know? But now it's great. So what we did, initially I was just gonna use it to store our trucks in for the winter. But then again, YouTube University, kind of the inner entrepreneur myself, I realized there's a bunch of space. We're the moving company. We should offer storage because why not? People all the time are like, hey, I don't close for another week and just hang on to it for a while. I thought, why not have the space? So we ended up instead of retrofitting this huge overhaul into our warehouse, we started buying dog kennels, 12-foot fencing sections with doors on them. So we offer a 12-foot section. You can do a 12 by 12, you can do a 12 by 24, 12 by 36, whatever you need. We can custom fit it to fit your household goods. We're probably at 80% maximum or 80% full right now in terms of people taking advantage of our storage opportunities. But that was another kind of kickoff of something we didn't even expect to have happen that just kind of fell into our lap of moving. And that's been great for us too. It's a steady means of income with ultimately little to no risk because it just sits. And that is so refreshing to know coming from every day. It's like, we have to make sure this goes so smooth because it's high risk of moving, you know? If you break something really expensive, you kind of lost money or broke even. That's a kind of heavy weight to have every day, you know? But yeah, so that building has been great. We park our trucks right out front. If you guys have seen them, south on 197 at Eagles there. Our Blue Walks moving trucks are always there for great publicity and marketing.
Took some trees down recently.
We did. I really wanted to clear that building out. So another kind of stuff kickoff. When people are moving, they're always trying to get rid of stuff, like you mentioned earlier. And so I had so much stuff just donated to me. Couches that are in good shape, end tables, mattresses, I mean, you name it. And so I would just go home when I was leaving my house and take pictures and sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace.
I bought a bike from you. I don't know if you remember.
Did you?
Bike.
Okay. Right,
Exercise
yeah,
bike.
the electrical.
Yeah.
That's right, that's right. I remember that. And yeah, it's funny. So then I started, thinking, hey, there's another avenue of income here. So I started, it's called Blue Ox Furniture Sales. Very small, but I sell stuff. I mean, I get it donated. So I'm just really trying to help people out in need that just need to furnish a small apartment or just want a decent deal on a couch or a mattress, And that's gone over fairly well. I think it's going to pick up this winter because we're not competing with garage sailing. But so 25% of our warehouse is Blue Ox Furniture Sales. The other 75% is all storage.
So now there's gonna be no room for your trucks.
So no room for our trucks. Yeah, exactly. So we're plugging them in outside. We got the scrapers going again. Just like keep us humble, and that's okay. Two of our big trucks that I really wanted to get in there. They're 12 foot 6 inches, and our doors are only 12 foot. So they wanted to be able to do them anyway. And so I thought that stinks, but I have other trucks that would fit. And now I just kind of like, you know what? Storage is where it's at for us anyway, and keep the trucks out there. I really don't like mixing, if our trucks in there with people's just emissions and stuff like that. I just don't want to mix any of that stuff. So I'm just happy keeping it homeowners and only storage rather than bringing in anything stuff, So
Well, and it's an ongoing source of income too.
yeah, cash flow is big. Yeah, right.
Would you rent out to store a pontoon? I don't know the size of a pontoon.
So I can't, and that's one of my big things we talked about with our team. Even boat, just boat and motor stuff like that. We're really trying to eliminate from household goods. Really, and not only that, but I think our doors are only 8 foot wide, unless your pontoon would fit in. But our thing right now is really catering to our crowd of the moving industry. So we really like having that extra 20% that's not spoken for right now is last minute stuff. We really pride ourselves on being able to help people. But that's what the premise of starting Blue Ox was. Hey, I can really help you. Moving is daunting. I hate even thinking what happened with my house because I have so much stuff. But being able to help people, so especially when they're in a pinch, because moving is kind of a crunch of time on your closing date. People, the next person's closing date, when you have to have stuff in and out. So if we can always have like a little space to either store people's stuff overnight or for a week or for a month, we can offer one we can take stress off people's plates, one thing at a time, The fact that we can be full service, offer packing, go and move you, we can store you for a week and then move you back in. Oh, people just thank us tenfold over because it really streamlines, it makes the moving process so much easier because we can offer those. So yeah, long story short, it's tough for me but I do want to, that's my next endeavor. Thinking, big picture with Blue Ox is storage. I obviously want to open another Blue Ox location in my hometown of Minnesota. There's only one other moving company down there too. He's actually buddies with my dad. He's retiring soon. He's 65 and just ready to be done. So I know there's room down there. And we are always in the city. We're probably in the cities 2 to 3 times a week, moving people up and moving people down. Wilmer's 2 hours from the city, so I can really kind of have another point to either get employees from or just move in and out of it with employees, So I really want to get another location down there, but before that, I really want to get storage units going because we get this awesome opportunity of like welcoming people to Bemidji. Like when they're moving up, we get to be the first faces they see. And I've entertained myself with getting like a pamphlet going and like the restaurants that I support and love, like Lazy Jack's, getting them in there like half off your first order of fried pickles or something. Getting all sorts of stuff like plugged into places that I love. And also, giving 10% off Carly Tower. She just started what's called the Clean Program. And she cleans a ton of houses for people. She does great work. But if I could get her in there, because when people move or sell houses, they want to get them cleaned either before they move in or after they move out. So just to plug people like that. And again, we're the first spaces they see in Bemidji. So we can really kind of start them off on the right foot. That welcome to Bemidji. Like this community is great. And that kind of helps play into our customer service that we really love. We love making people feel good and feel happy, it's huge.
It fits the 218 relocate.
I'm so in love with it.
Jake and I were talking about
Yeah.
that beforehand. Jake
Oh,
was
good.
talking about, the boom it's been for his moving business.
That was gonna be my question is, so you're talking about moving people down and up.
Yeah,
I'm hoping you're seeing more trend.
definitely. Big time. And yeah, shout out to the 218 relocate. A lot of people are realizing that, and Paul and Giga, they're realizing that they can get internet speeds at their family cabinet they've owned for whatever, 50 years. They can work from home. They can sell, especially with the market right now, make a couple bucks on their house, live at their cabin, and then either retrofit their cabin or buy another place when the market cools off. We've had so many people move up with that exact same game plan. And it's great to see. And I always tell people, you're gonna love Bemidji. Oh, we've already been here for 15 years or whatever. We're just moving to our cabin. Oh, so you already know,
Yeah.
And then I'm plugging Lazy Jack's and all these other restaurants that I love.
Well, that would be fun to when you relocate.
Yeah.
We're definitely still have funds to be able to welcome those remote workers that are here too.
Which is great. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Aaron,
I'm
Yeah.
Jake.
hi Jane.
Nice to meet you.
I'm the assistant director of Greater Bemidji, so work really closely with Tiffany and Paul.
Okay, cool.
But this is the energy that I love, and we're all speaking the same language, so I love that you're like trying to plug people in and to going that extra mile, and that's perfect, that's what we need.
Well, it's so easy for me. Like I came up to BSU 2009 and fell in love with the area. And so it's like a catch-22 though, because I love Bemidji for what it is. It's kind of that small hometown vibe. But for me, like I love to see it grow because Bemidji has screaming potential. Like this, and people who know Bemidji know it, like this place screams potential. But there's the catch-22. I'm like, I really do like how it is, kind of like not overpopulated. It's perfect, kind of how it is. But the reality is like, no, we should share this with a lot of people because there is room for growth. It'd be one thing if it's like we're packed and it wouldn't be a good thing. But man, like I was just talking to Paul beforehand, like this new downtown push that we're trying to renovate would be huge for Blue Ox. Oh my gosh, we could plug so many people, we could get them moved. And we're that moving company that like, I really try to hand this to realtors, learning with realtors, like, you don't have to worry about us. We would make you look good because we enjoy what we do. We really care about the customer's perspective and their feelings, their emotions. It's an emotional time. And so whether we're moving someone into assisted living at Winston or at Sanford, or moving a young couple into Bemidji, we're plugging nightlife, bars, restaurants, what's fun to do. But we also realize, like, read the room. If it's an emotional time when your mom or dad in Winston, we're gonna read that card. We're gonna play to that card. You know what I mean? It's great here, which it is. Winston's really great. You're gonna love it here, the people that we have moved in absolutely love it here, we'll just cater to the people you're moving.
Are we recording? Just that could be perfect. There's some people.
But, and I come back, no worries. And I probably will love to come back. This is fantastic. I love talking about, I was really nervous for it because I've never really been asked like, so what do you do? Like, oh, this is my first date talking about blue ox,
But you're doing something.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's fun. It's easy to talk about. It's fun to talk about when you're passionate about it. And I would have lost all the money in the world if I would have told myself 3 or 4 years ago, you're gonna love being a mover. Like, what? And, because it didn't even cross my mind until August of 2018 that I was really gonna become or start moving, But the things you learn and the people you meet and it's really fun to like, I've always kind of been a natural leader. So we call it macchiato Mondays. So we have our meetings every Monday with our core, there's 4 of us. I go get our macchiatos from Dunn Brothers and we all just sit around and talk about like, okay, what's the outline of the week look like? What's the fun social media post we're gonna do? Like, cause we try to keep it spunky, keep it fun. Like, we don't need to be like, call Blue Ox for your moving needs. We need to be like, hey, this guy is not just carrying 2 amps because that's all he can carry. Like we try to put a spin on all this kind of stuff. And it's just fun to like kind of lead a team that we really focus on like positivity and encouragement. And like, I'm always asking other employees, like, what are your personal goals if you want to share? Like, let's uplift each other outside of work here to make this environment like a really, really fun, encouraging environment. As a small company, I can't offer benefits like a big corporation. I can't offer as many things right now. But our team understands that. They don't seem to care about that. They really like the fact that their schedule is flexible. They know that I care, that we don't care about each other. And that's something that I didn't really get at some previous jobs. And it's just funny how you kind of like, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, pick up on that. And when you're in control, you can kind of bring that, what was lacking, to the table and really just make that a priority in your business. And that's something that I've really, really learned to love about being a leader. It's very stressful at times, but there's little pockets of like, this is why we do it. And the macchiato Mondays are a big reason. Looking around and seeing people laughing and smiling, that's a huge reason as to why I love what I do.
Where do you hope to take this?
Such a good question. It depends on the day. So after a long moving day, I'm usually like, all right, who wants to buy this business so I can do that? But in our reality, Bemidji, again, has so much potential. Between Fargo and Duluth, Bemidji's like the hub, and there's a small moving company in Grand Rapids. Other than that, there's not much north. The only thing south is really St. Cloud. You have a couple moving companies in Brainerd, but they stay so busy, they don't really expand much. So really, Blue Ox has streaming potential throughout north central, north of Minnesota, really. We're over in International Falls all the time. We're in Warren quite often, Roseau quite often. Where do I want to take this? I either want to do a couple more locations, like the ones out of where I talked about. And maybe like, I thought ideally in my 10-year plan, I want to have 3 to 4 locations. That's because of the risk involved with moving, and I can only be one person, I can only do one place at one time. I really started switching to storage and really trying to just get as many storages as I can possibly. We are not affiliated with Blue Ox Storage in town, which is really unfortunate because he is crushing it.
Oh, okay.
I wish we
That's
were.
good to know.
Yeah, I wish we were. Justin's a great dude. He's doing that all himself.
Okay.
And he is like, hats off. He's crushing it. Actually, funny story. When I first started Blue Ox, he called me, like, you need to change your business name. I was like, what? I can't. I already did it with Steve. It's $50. I'm not getting a refund on that, It's small business starting up, And I said, Justin, if anything, I'm going to be giving you more business because people are going to affiliate us together. And I'm going to be filling your units. And we talked like once a week, like 6-7 months straight after that. He just like, saw you're at our place again. Thanks for dropping stuff off. I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm there every week. And his units are full. He's building more. It's great. But units would be huge because there's no risk, minimal risk in it. You got great cash flow, and then it opens your doors once that's paid off. You have cash flow coming in now to start and so do whatever.
So where is your storage right now?
Our storage is just north of the Eagles, 1020 Washington Avenue South. It's a big pole barn there. I should say it's a pole barn, it's concrete, it's steel, it's not insulated, which is kind of unfortunate. But it's a 5,000 square foot warehouse that we have probably 80% full of storage right now. And it works great, it's a great location.
Are you finding any trouble with workforce? Because you're very, I don't know how to say this. You have a very specific way that you're like running your business and welcoming people in and just kind of going that extra mile. Are you finding that your people that you need for workforce that are just buying into that
Yeah,
and doing that as well, or has that been a challenge?
no, it's been great. I've been one of the few businesses that's talking to the businesses, hearing stories that haven't had issues with the place.
Okay.
We have 14 BSU student athletes this summer, working 40 hours a week each. They crushed it. They loved it. They already want to come back after football's done in December, which is great. I have right now. There's 4 full timers, which they love it. I mean, at least they tell me they love it. But no, I really think they do. And I try to make that a fun work environment. So again, to kind of counterbalance, I can't offer you benefits. I can't offer you this right now. Think big picture, I'll be able to, I can give you raises as we do better. I can give you more, financial raises. But they bought in. They see us growing. They're there every day, so they can see where we went from my house, tell us it's shop, tell us it's staying busy. They're getting to see the big picture of it, which is really fun. And then we do have some retired BSU student athletes who, their eligibility is up and still have classes, so they still work for us. And I've had a handful of people just drop in that just say, hey, you're hiring right now. And I don't want to hire people right now because winter months we tend to slow down. And I don't want to promise someone who's banking on a job to, their family, whatever, give them 10 of the 30 hours I promised or something like that. I have to take care of my people first before I can really, and as long as people are okay with only working 10 hours, I've always put that out there. If you're working 10 hours, they usually need more. One other quick side note, just talking about people, keeping people engaged and staying with us. So our general manager, Brian Comfort, was one of my best friends in college, still is my best friend as a kid. And he took on the role of he worked at FedEx every morning from 3:30 to 6:30, and then there's full-time jobs, of course. He worked at FedEx for benefits, but he's very familiar with trucks, loading and unloading trucks. And so when he came over to Blue Box, he's a wizard. I mean, he can make your 3,000-4,000 square foot house condense into a truck. He can make everything so efficient. He's so good at what he does. And we sat down and I was like, hey, you're worth your weight in gold. How can I tailor something to keep you around? And he's like, I want to stay anyways. He goes, well, what would mean the world to me is if I could become some sort of part owner, not for the financial aspect, but for my people. And I respected that because I'm like, hey, yeah, he's a guy who kind of wears a shirt on his emotions on his sleeve. I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk to someone. So I reached out to Grant Odegaard, which I'm sure some of you guys know. He gave me these options because we started as an S corp. I can take on shareholders. So I gave him shareholdership to keep him around, And I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, you started this on your own. Are you really willing to give that up? And it was a no-brainer for me. If it means that I can take stress off my plate, if I can trust him, because now that he's part owner, he wants it just as bad as I do, to grow, to be that face. He always claims he's not a personable guy, and he's the most charming guy, but he just hates dealing with people, but he's so good at it, And so now he has to be, and, right, everybody knows that person, right, one person like that. So he is that person, and now he just rocks it. He goes to the houses like I used to, and just caters to people, yes, we get that done. And that was a big step in terms of retaining employees. I was very much willing to take a pay cut or not be the only owner or whatever that was. If it meant to keep my employees around longer, to keep good employees, that's absolutely worth it to me. Because now I have the options to go meet with other businesses, go try to retain more business, go to nursing homes. My job now shifts because he's essentially taking over what was my role as overseeing the day-to-day. So that was a really unique situation for us that I'm actually really, really happy and excited to go up. What's up? my time to be doing stuff like this, which is awesome.
If I'm moving from Twin Cities to Bemidji, I live in the Twin Cities. Do I typically contract with the Twin City firm to move me up here? Or do I know you're up here, I call you to come and get some stuff?
So I've had most people, of course, I have because people call me that way.
Yeah.
But I'm up and about every day. I see when there's like 2 men in the truck there just here last week. I see when Mayflower Van lands right in town. I was like, "Oh, how do we-" you know, I just haven't said us. Most of the time, people always figure, I'd rather have you come down to the cities and grab us and bring us back to Bemidji because you're gonna end in Bemidji anyway.
Yeah.
So once you're done moving, you can just go home, you know? So most people have that mentality of, I'm gonna hire a moving company from the city I'm moving to because they're gonna come get me and bring me back with, me, you know? And that's, we're in Sioux Falls tomorrow, moving back from Sioux Falls to Bemidji. And that was kind of his mentality too. It's like, I'm moving to Bemidji. I figured I'd just as much call you guys. You can come down, stay the night, move me the next day. We're done. I don't have to pay for another hotel night for you to drive back, you know? So that's what I see. Yeah.
Jake, why don't you talk a little bit about your challenges, learning curve, and financial side of business?
Oh, man, again, if I could just mix in a few more business classes at BSU. So Blue Box does well, like, I like to think so anyway, and, you know, very like kid. So we're getting money in, a lot of things that, now this, I mean, take it for what you will, just being very naive to business. I really never accounted for taxes. So that was very eye-opening to me. And it's fine. Like, I'm just like, hey, that's just business, you know, but I just didn't account for it. So that's what really stung me worse. I was like, man, again, had you mixed in business class, you probably would have accounted for that. But like, so having money and knowing where to like appropriately put it. Right now I'm trying to grow a box. So I'm buying trucks. I just went and bought another box truck because the more equipment I have, the more capital I can have, the more, what I'm just realizing now, what's the word? When depreciation, thank you. So we had a good conversation. Yeah, so I'm learning all sorts of tricks, you know, about that. And that was, it's just been a lot of learning, which I love because, you know, I furthered my education at BSU, I got a master's. I love learning. I love being engaged. I love learning new things. My finances in my personal life and in business have always just been something that I just kind of like, yeah, we'll sort it out, you know, at some point. But now after talking with Tiffany, I've gotten a better game plan of going over, you know, just essentially just doing my due diligence about like, all right, we're making money, but if we want to be sustainable, how are we going to save this money? How are we going to spend this money? Because if you want to be a legit, functional, sustainable business, you have to do those things. You can't just be like, yeah, we got moves next week, so we got money coming in next week, you know. Sorry, very vague answer on that question, but it's hard for me to pinpoint because I'm still in the process of learning it, you know.
But I mean, you were smart from the get-go in hiring someone to take on the bookkeeping role and
Yeah.
not try to take that on yourself, so you have an advisor.
Yes, very true. I knew if there's one thing I'm very real with, like finances and like bookwork is not one of them, or organization. So right away I hired a bookkeeper, and then right away when we moved for a new location, I hired an office administrator to just organize our moves and to like make sure like when that phone rings, you gotta answer it, you know, because that was one of my toughest things was I want to be on every job to ensure it's going to go smooth and the owners are having a good experience. My phone would ring all the time. And then I feel like, you know, all these workers just standing on the other boss just sitting on his phone again, you know, it's like, I don't want to be perceived like that, but I have to, you know, I have to take these calls before tomorrow. So once we got, her name's Allie, she's a rock star. She's from Bemidji. She's our office admin. She is right away, she didn't know anything about moving. So, and again, starting this moving company from scratch, I didn't have like guidelines or scripts or anything. So here I'm like trying to recite in my head how a typical conversation goes. I'm like making a Word document like homeowner asks, your response, you know, and I'm writing these scripts together. And now she is like, she's so smooth on the phone. It's so refreshing to have her take care of things, you know. And actually this summer, really, Ally on board. Brian's running all of our day-to-day. We have tiers. We have Ally's our office administrator, we have crew leaders, and then we have laborers. Our crew leaders are guys who, obviously, as kind of speaks for themselves, they're the head of the crew. When they go to a job site, they're the one that introduces the homeowner to all the workers right away. They do the walkthrough. They're the ones that pack the trailers because most importantly, getting stuff to the truck is one thing, but make sure it's packed good and wrapped right so nothing is damaged is very, very important. So they're crew leaders. They rocked it all summer, and then our laborers were the guys who would bring stuff to the crew leaders to put in the trailer. This summer, I just kind of sat and I had so many moments where I just cried tears of joy because I was like, this is really happening. This is real. And then you get a phone call, something broke, you gotta call here. It's all right, back to reality. They'll take care of, but it's been really good. It's been really, really surreal to think we'll be 2 full years, November 19th. And man, I just hope we continue to grow. I know we're going to continue to grow. I hope we continue to grow healthily, and then we can continue to provide the service for this area to be what I like to say, the face of Bemidji. I mean, when people are moving in, we really are their first point of contact, and that I take great pride in that because I love customer service, and that's something big to me. When you're going to be welcome to an area, you want your first experience and the first people you meet to be really warming and heartfelt, and you move to a good spot, don't take it for granted. It's a good area. And it's like I said, it's really enjoyable. It's a lot of fun to kind of frame it that way, So
Do you move animals, like if somebody's got a pet horse?
we don't know. We've another hurdle of the industry. We found a lot of what we do move and what we don't move. What we don't move, animals, plants. We can't move hazardous materials, propane tanks under grills, gasoline, even so much as far as a little chainsaw or something that has oil or gasoline in it. That's hazardous material. So if we got pulled over on the side of the road and they went to our truck, wow, so we would have fines coming out of our ears because that's hazardous materials, and we're not certified to transport that stuff. One of the biggest hurdles when I started Blue Ox was getting all the insurance, because there's so much insurances you need to have. You can't just put people's stuff in a truck and say, we're a moving company, we'll move you anywhere. If you get in an accident, you gotta have that stuff covered. Your employees need to be covered. And so most insurance companies, this is kind of ironic, won't even look at you, kind of like a bank, won't even look at you for insurance unless you have 3 years in the industry. And so I'm like, how do you get 3 years in the industry? And so I pulled some strings from one of my buddies who he owns, it's called Tonka Insurance Agency down in Minnetonka. He got me connected with someone from Progressive who was like, hey, Tanner put in a good word. I'm willing to go on a whim. Please don't make me regret this. They got me insurance. And so everybody in the world started moving during COVID. Moving industry peaked during COVID. Progressive had shut off all, didn't matter if you had 30 years experience in the industry. They're not taking on any more insurances for movers because there's been such an influx of movers. So I really hit it at the perfect time. Which leads me to a future road of, is it always going to be like this? We're busy right now. Is it always going to be like this? I'll get healthy growth where I don't want to hire on 18 more guys next summer and the work's not there. So it's always kind of this balance, which is business. But yeah, that was, in terms of hurdles and stuff like that. Insurance is being sure you're caught up to speed on your DOT. You can't cross state lines unless you have an MC number, which is a motor carrier. I didn't know that. I'm driving around in Fargo thinking hey, this is no big deal. Of course, I didn't get in trouble. But if I would have got caught, I would have been in real big trouble. And then I realized, okay, you need to have an MC number. So that's a whole application process and fees. But again, I didn't have a script. I didn't have a book. I'm just doing this. I'm hey, we're here to help people. We have really good employees who try to do the best they can. We're really honest. And those kind of 3 things have just gotten us to where we are now. And now it's all right, that's gotten us to start up, to make money come in. Now it's shift roles from starting that up to being proactive with our finances, what our future is going to be more bigger picture items,
I was going to ask if somebody does have their favorite steel chainsaw, what do you advice on how to.
As long as you empty it, so just dump out your gas and dump out your oil, we'll take it.
Oh,
As long as there's no oil or gasoline in it, we can take it. And a lot of people do, they will just drain them all and I'll do my due diligence, take a look, everything looks great, we're good to go. Yep, it's not a problem. As long as it's empty, that's totally fine. Yeah. But,
What can this group of Bemidji do for you?
well, already, I mean, I've already met with Tiffany, she's been great with finances. 218 Relocate, we're an incredible program. I mean, you know, for the moving world, if we could, oh my gosh, if we could get everybody to know about that, holy buckets.
We're working on it.
It's incredible. I just saw the article too, and I was like, this is awesome. I was like, how can I like get like a little business card? Hey, couple bucks. There's already a lot of stuff. I mean, again, going on the downtown renovation, you know, making Bemidji this open arm place to move to, which it already is, you know, Bemidji kind of has a warm, green, Palm Bay, you know, people are already, so many people, you guys have already all had this, we're on vacation, have a tie to Bemidji, you know. Emma and I were hiking in Banff, Canada, and she's wearing her BSU hockey shirt. This is like 3-4 years ago now. And I was, hey, class 85, go Beavs, you know, we're out in Canada hiking on this crazy trail, and there's a guy from Bemidji State, you know, it's just unreal. But in terms, I mean, a lot of it is what's gotten us to be where we are, is just community support. Word of mouth. If you guys need to move, we're called Blue Ox. And that was kind of the intent of the name too. It's, you know, Blue Ox Moving it's so fitting. Blue Ox already, and Blue Ox Moving, you're thinking about a big Blue Ox and moving company. You know, they're kind of go hand in hand. Just community support in terms of, you know, if you guys know business owners, having business owners let us put flyers in their bulletin boards, their walk-ins. Almost every bar I used to have coasters, and of course, coasters come and go. But I'll pin up flyers in nursing homes and bar restaurants, and the support has been great. I haven't had anybody tell me no.
And you're working with all the realtors, I
And-
mean,
Yeah.
they've been awesome through all of this too.
And
Especially with women.
it's been, yeah, so counselor, I know Steve Montgomery, I've been talking to him for a long time. So he told me, hey, Tuesdays we have our team meetings, just like this, our big table, we talk. So go in there on Tuesday, and I just gave him my spiel one time, and like Jason Brown, like, all these guys over there, all of a sudden, oh,
Yeah.
I'm in with all their rules. And I do want to offer, like, just because of the way I really like to operate, is I want to get kickback. You know, I want to be like, hey, here's sweet tickets to a BSU game or something, because you prefer me 10 times already. You know, something like that. And that's, again, working with my finances. What can I save and put aside to do stuff like that? You know, instead of just pulling it out of the bank account, not having any idea of how much I spent on kickbacks. Now you can have like a fund, like a little slush fund for that. Just say, hey, we got an extra $500. How can we cater and say thanks to those who have given us opportunities, you know? And that's something that that's another very gratifying part of business that I've picked up on, is how to give back, you know? Yeah.
And I think you have the nail right on the head too. We're so unique in Bemidji, and us growing is not going to take away from that. We consciously do not want it to take away from that small town, perfect size community feel. I think that there's potential where we can do that responsibly and really make this a premier location and a regional hub, even more so than it is, but still have that. I mean, that's what you want when you move to a community, right?
Yeah.
You want
Totally.
Jake being the one that's like, yes, I will help you, what do you need?
And you know, thank you for saying that, I appreciate that. That's so true, like what you just said, like me helping, like that's something I grew up, just willing to help. I just love helping people. That's something that I really love to do. It just kind of, it fits so perfectly with the moving industry, because that's what we're literally here to do, help you move. And I never realized how stressful moving was until you get to some of these situations, and it can be crazy. And it's like, hey, don't worry, we got this. You go grab coffee, be back in half hour, 45 minutes. All this furniture is going to be out of your house, so you can take a big deep breath in, you know. And then that happens, like, oh my gosh. Another thing I pride ourselves on is like, nobody on our crew like smokes on the job. I don't think anybody smokes. Nobody else smokes. They're all student athletes and stuff like this, you know. But there's, you know, moving industry, we're gonna pay by the hour, so move 10 pieces and then go have cigarettes or something like that. No, like, we're in and out, we move, we have to drink water for crying out loud. We are very efficient. And that's what we pride ourselves on, like, hey, we're not here to take advantage, we're gonna move ya. Sometimes we, put the cart in front of the horse and we'll make a corner or something like that, because we move too fast. But I'd rather have that tough conversation than have the conversation. I saw 5 guys standing around having cigs for like 45 minutes, and I'm not paying for an hour later. I get that, So we have really, really like good fundamental people with good like core roles. And that's, again, just another awesome thing that we just have going for us right now. And I want to keep that, So, yeah, it's been a fun journey. Yeah.
The reinvention of the Bemidji. 2008, I went to Pittsburgh. We were named the most innovative city in the nation.
Okay,
That's where you're working.
that's fantastic.
Starting out of there, Bemidji is 2.0. Seeing the book over here and stuff. That was the reinvention of the invention. And keep your eye out because we've already contracted for the 3rd facility to take it to the next step.
Okay,
And the COVID shut it off. As soon as we can get into schools and stuff, it's going to start again. And it's going to be better than anything we've done up to now.
okay.
And so buy another truck.
But that's great. I love to hear that, especially with the unknowns of the moving world. That's great to hear. And our thing too, I've said it a million times, but no job too big or too small. If it really is too big, I'll team up with another moving company and help, but I'm, so commercial jobs or corporate jobs. We love it. We love challenges. We open them with like a very positive, like, can we do this or can't we do this mindset, And we're very real in our capabilities, which makes it fun, It's been good. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. That gives me an optimistic outlook on the future.
We gotta have a cup of coffee.
I would like that. It's been too long.
It's gonna be a long cup of coffee.
That's all right. I like coffee, especially this time of year.
It's not macchiato Monday.
We hope this is just the start, Jake. We'll get you
Yeah.
out at some point, get an update. but
Thank you guys so much for
Thanks
having
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys ever have any questions, stop by the shop, give us a call. We're always happy to help wherever we can. So, yeah, thanks for taking the time to meet.